Hi, this is Keith Hubbard of True Principles. I'm a family relationship speaker and trainer here to show you how to heal your family utilizing principles of truth. So, today's principle is on patterns. Now, you may not understand why I'm choosing patterns as a principle, but I want you to understand that this is one of the most important principles that you could start to govern your life by. This is something that I learned about 6 or 7 years ago that has truly changed my entire life. Now, granted, the training with True Principles is really focused on families, but the awesome and fascinating thing about principles is that when we can apply them, we can understand the root principle, bare raw principle of a certain situation or outcome, then if we can learn how to translate that into other parts of our life, then it's going to affect everything from our families to ourselves, to our finances, to our careers, to our spirituality, all those kinds of things. So, understanding the pattern of your life is crucial. So, let me explain a little bit more about this as we get into this. I want you to look around you. I want you to realize that everything surrounding you, whether it's you're driving in your car, or your computer, or your phone, or your living room, the people around you, everything around you is actually a representation of a pattern. The trees outside follow and are governed by certain patterns that are biology, mathematics, chemistry, those kinds of things. Your home follows a certain pattern, not just its structure, but also all the things that make up a home. Mathematics is a pattern. 2 plus 2 is always 4. And as we understand these patterns, we can start to apply them to other things. So mathematics is a really simple example. 2 plus 2 is always 4. Well, we can also take that pattern and expand that out to apply it to other situations, like 3 plus 5 is 8, right? Or 10 plus 10 is 20. That's a pattern that can be applied to varying situations. And we can even go deeper with mathematics and apply that same pattern and understand, if we apply it deeply enough, we can start understanding higher truths like division, mathematics, and even higher like geometry and algebra, and even higher like calculus, right? So I use that as an example because math is something we've all done, but the disconnect for us tends to happen when we start to apply it to other parts of our life. And so I want you to consider that everything in your life is a result of either you're properly using patterns or improperly using patterns. If your bank account is always empty, it's because you base your financial habits off of false patterns. If your relationship with your children is great, it's because you are basing those interactions with your children on true or proper principles and patterns. So I want you to just, for the sake of this video, consider that everything in your life, everything, is a result of a pattern that you are following. So now, if you can learn how to apply these patterns in a proper way, in a true way, and align yourself with true patterns, then everything in your life is going to be incredible. Now, that doesn't mean, that excludes, of course, other people utilizing their agency and affecting you. But even in those situations, you have the ability and the capacity to choose healthy patterns still. Now, the challenge comes in learning how to discern between true patterns and false patterns. So a true pattern might be forgiveness. Forgiveness is a true pattern that's applicable to our relationships. There is never any situation in life where forgiveness isn't important. I don't care what the person has done, because forgiveness is really for your sake, not for theirs anyway, first of all. And forgiveness is always a really powerful principle, especially if we want to receive it for ourselves in our own lives. Now, understand, as I say that, there's a little tangent here. There's a difference between forgiving and forgetting. Okay, maybe another video in there for Now, here's a false pattern, and this comes from my own experience in life. I used to think that all relationships ended in pain and drama. That was the pattern that I lived for a very long time because of some choices that I had been making. And as a result of that, that was the result I was consistently experiencing. Whether it was a girlfriend that was cheating on me or constant bickering and arguing in a relationship, that was the pattern that I chose to live by. Now, understand that those false patterns are always veiled in deception. So if the pattern or the rule or the belief, whatever you want to call this, if the pattern that you live by does not create prosperity for you, prosperity and abundance, happiness, peace for you and for other people, then chances are it's a false pattern. Okay, forgiveness, for example, creates peace for me and for other people. That's one simple example. Believing that all relationships end in pain and turmoil, that's not very good for me or for other people. So that's one simple test. So understand that that's a really big principle. It encompasses a lot of other things. But I want you for this, here's your call to action for this video, as I want you to look at your life, and I want you to look at something that's working well and something that's not working well. And I want you to ask yourself, with what's working well, what is the pattern that you're living by? What is that baseline belief system that you have that dictates how you act and behave to create that result? Okay, that's important to understand that results are always a product of our actions. Actions are always a product of our beliefs. So what are those patterns that you're following to create those results? And I want you to do the same for the other. If it's about finances, if you really struggle with finances, what are the patterns that you're following? Is it constantly bringing up anxiety? Do you avoid it? Are you constantly worrying about it? Look at what those patterns are, and then here's the kicker, and this is crucial. For the pattern that you identify with the thing that works well, I want you to ask yourself, how else can you apply that? How can you expand and magnify that principle more, either in that area of your life or in some other area of your life? Try to translate it maybe. Maybe you have relationships that work well. Well, maybe see if that pattern could be applied to the other, in the financial, in our example that I'm using right now. And for the sake of the one that's not working well, when you identify the pattern that you're following, this is crucial. I want you to be willing to ask yourself, what is the deception in that pattern? And usually deception comes in the form of trying to push blame or responsibility or accountability for that feeling or that circumstance off onto something else. If it's, to use our financial example, maybe it's because I got laid off. Maybe it's because of the economy. Maybe it's because of all these other things that are outside of your control. Now, although some of those things may be true, there's also, I promise you, if you're willing to dig and be honest, there may be something about that moment that you could have accountability for. Now, here's one example. I'm using the financial example because that's something that I tend to struggle with. And a couple years ago, I actually did get laid off. I got laid off twice within about 12 months. And although I could blame it on the job, I could blame it on the economy, all these things, those were great justifications for my circumstance. The truth of the matter is that I had, what I'm doing with you right now, I had promptings and encouragement from my higher power to do those things, to start teaching these things to other people and sharing this with other people. And I decided to not do it. I was afraid. And I'm not saying that God had punished me or anything like that to make that create that change for me. Maybe He did. It's another discussion. But the fact of the matter is that I chose to do something to not do something that I knew I was supposed to. And so therein lies my accountability and my choice for being a part of creating that experience. So that's the hard part of all of this. But I promise you, if you can do those things, it will massively impact your life. So, quick review here. Patterns are everywhere. And I want want you to do two things. You're going to find a pattern. You're going to find a pattern for something that works, and I want you to do more of it. Apply it to somewhere else, and then I want you to find a pattern for something that isn't working in your life, and then find the self-deception in that pattern, and then be willing to confront it. Okay? So I hope this has created value for you. I hope this makes sense. And this is Keith Hubbard reminding you that your life is your choice, and I hope you decide to take that on. All right, love you and take care.